Okay, so I'm going to tell you today a little bit more about circular phones by using one example in particular. So the problem is that there are more operational cell phones on the planet than there are people. And the problem is that this and these are not designed to be recycled and repaired. Wouldn't it be great to not throw all this stuff away? So instead of creation and destruction, we would have creation, end of use, and creation all over again. This would be a circular system. But it's one thing to have an idea. Do circular phones really exist? Let's be honest, to most people, this is just a phone. On the outside, it's a shiny, newish phone. Until you open it up. The best features of a Fairphone are the ones you can't see, like the fairly sourced and recycled materials, better working conditions, and programs to reuse and recycle electronic waste. 20 years ago, we couldn't imagine the existence of the smartphone, and now we can't live without one. But have you ever stopped to consider who made your phone or what's in it? Maybe you have. Have your friends ever considered that? Behind that screen are a lot of different materials, as you know, that people all over the world have worked on. Fairphone uses fair materials, like fair trade gold, and it's made with recycled plastic. The electronics industry is notorious for poor working conditions, like child labor, hazardous working conditions, extreme poverty. But Fairphone strive for fair conditions for the workers. Our constant demand for newer and better phones has a huge impact on the environment. And by huge, I mean really huge. Buying one new phone takes as much energy as using one for an entire decade. I'll repeat that. Buying one new phone takes as much energy as using one for an entire decade. So let me show you the hidden impact of the smartphone industry and how Fairphone is acting to change that. First, by raising awareness of the issue. So I'll try and show you, hopefully that works. I'll try and show you a short video of what it really takes to make a phone. Now, can you see the video? Can someone please confirm?
We can see the YouTube channel. We can see the YouTube page.
Yeah, behind the screens.
It's not on display mode for YouTube.
No, so I'll put it on. There you go. Okay. Let me know if it's not working, please.
Working.
Recording in progress.
Okay, can you see the slides again?
Yes.
Yeah. So in 2013, Fairphone was founded on a disruptive idea to change the electronics industry from the inside. The vision is for a world where products are built to last, and we think in terms of resources rather than waste. With Fairphone 1 in 2015, a step towards circular economy was to take back as many phones, this time for landfill in Ghana, as the number of new phones sold before the new ones are put into the market. So Fairphone has a few design principles that they apply from their circular economy. The first one is longevity, because half of the emissions of the life cycle of a smartphone are produced during the manufacturing process. So the longer you can delay that manufacturing again, as much as possible, the better for the planet. And the second one is repairability, because the only smartphone, because Fairphone 3 is the only smartphone in the world to be awarded a perfect iFixit score for repairability, to give ownership back to consumers. So the most sustainable phone is the one you already have, as you all know here, I guess. But smartphones are designed for use and not reuse and recycle. And that's why it's hard to open them, repair them, or remove broken parts. But that doesn't mean things cannot be different. The most sustainable smartphone is the one that lasts, and so are designed Fairphones to last. We all want our devices to be easier to repair. After all, repairability is synonymous with longevity.
Fairphone next year.
Nope.
iFixit have rated different smartphones in this smartphone repair score list. A score of 0 means it's unrepairable, and 10 is the easiest to repair. You bought it, it should last, and you should be able to fix it. So buy repairable smartphones. There's others than the Fairphone just now that are coming out. You can check why your smartphone, if you have one, stands on this list. So you can repair it yourself or switch out a spare part easily, and it's made from fair and recycled materials. And if you can no longer use it, you can use their recycling program. They have an ambitious plan also to reduce e-waste, to close the loop. So I'm going to show you another video. I wasn't sure, but I think it's a very interesting video. So that'll be a second video, and it's slightly longer than the other one. It's just over 3 minutes.
All right.
Is that working?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Recycling. What is it and how does it work?
So you put everything in a recycling bin
and it gets sorted out somewhere, melted down,
and turn it into a new stuff, right?
So that's it then? Old stuff, chop chop, smush smush, voila. New stuff? Well, no, not really. But sometimes kinda, at least ideally, but even then, all right, we should back it up just a little bit. This is basically the story about all of our stuff. But in this case, obviously phones. Where they come from, what they're made of, and where they go when we're done with them, when we throw them away. Let's get this out of the way first. There's no such place as away. Our stuff always ends up somewhere. Most phones are built for use, but not reuse or recycling. Let's say a screen cracks. Just buy a new one. The battery dies. Buy a new one. Your phone is perfectly fine, but this year's flagship just as much flagshipier. You guessed it, buy a new one. And this happens a lot, to the point where we are talking about 1.4 billion with a B phones sold every year. Average lifespan, just over 3 years. So that totals about 50 million tons of electronic waste every year that ends up somewhere, not nowhere. That's roughly 5,000 Eiffel Towers made of trash.
oh fuck. But all that stuff gets recycled, right? Into like new phones and other stuff, right?
Well, no, not at all. Not even a little bit. Sounds nice though, and great to justify selling even more stuff, or not making all that stuff more repairable in the first place. No worries, we'll just recycle it. But recycling is a super complex process. The more materials you're trying to extract, the harder it becomes. Even something as simple as plastics is actually made up of 7 subcategories like
Polyethylene, terephthalate.
Polypropylene.
Imagine the challenge of recycling something as complicated as a smartphone. So it's no wonder that less than 20% of all discarded phones are recycled.
So now what?
Glad you asked. While recycling may not be all that it's cracked up to be, it's still an important link in a whole chain of ours. And no, replace is not one of them. Reduce. Buy only what you need. Reuse. Pass it on, swap it, resell it. Repair instead of replace. And then, at the very end of that line comes recycle. And since we make and sell phones, we take recycling seriously. A simple repair like a new screen or battery is often enough to give your phone a second chance. As for the rest, we will make sure every last bit of usable materials is recycled in the most effective way, right here in Europe. So here's where you come in. If you still have unused phones laying around at home, send them our way. The more we reuse and recycle, the less we need to mine and manufacture. Also, there's gold in your phones, literally. So head over to our website, find out how much they're worth, and start recycling.
Right, I'm trying to go back to my presentation. There we go. Okay, I thought this video was really interesting, even if it was a little bit long. But so, what makes a phone? It's a good part is about choosing fairer materials for Fairphone. They go straight to the source to make sure they're creating positive change, working to incorporate fairer, recycled, and responsibly mined materials in their phones to increase industry and consumer awareness. Fairphone supports and participates in many existing industry efforts to improve due diligence, and they're an active member of the Responsible Minerals Initiative, which makes it more circular. So I personally cannot go about my life ignoring all the problems in the world. I cannot take responsibility for all of them either, but I cannot ignore what I'm shown. And this is why my phone is a Fairphone. And my next phone, if I need to buy another one, will be a Fairphone. And until there are good options and more circular options, which means good for me, good for others, and good for the planet, there's no other choice for me to make. As citizens, we make choices, and those choices can change the way things are done. We have the power to make the economy more circular by making sure we opt for circular products, or at least more circular. We have this power. You have this power. Thank you very much.